Hi folks. According to the scholars, I'm talking about Bible scholars that is, there is more mention in the Bible about the end time period than any other period of time which is mentioned in the Bible. Whether it be the times of Israel, from their conception through to the time that Jesus walked on this earth, or even the time of the early church and all their acts. No period of time is reported on in the Bible as much as the end times. Would you think that that makes the end times an important topic or not? Personally, I would. If the Bible talks about it that much, I want to hear it. Most Bible-believing scholars agree that we are in that generation that will witness all of the end-time prophecies coming to pass up until the time of the rapture of the church, that is. And that many of the prophecies have already been fulfilled in front of our eyes. So, bearing this in mind, we might think that Christians of today would be glued to the parts of the Bible that reports on these issues. And yet, sadly, I have to say this is often not the case. As we look at events in the Middle East, through to the decline of the Christian faith as we observe it here in the West, we might think that Christians would be avidly studying their Bibles to see what the Bible says about all this. It amazes me that so few Christians have even a working knowledge of what we can expect to see during the end time period. I find it even more incredible that the reason for this ignorance of the general populace, population of Christians rather, is due to the fact that many of those who occupy the pulpit will not take on this subject of end times prophecy. Even though there's a glut of knowledge and teaching on this subject, they will not take it on. Thinking of this and other matters, I believe that the Lord has given me a thought on this subject. My wife also, strangely enough, had a very similar thought, different but similar. My thought was this: a shepherd in ancient times, when he became aware that wolves were lurking around, he would immediately make plans either to move the flock to safer ground or do something in order to protect the flock from the wolves. He wouldn't gamble on the fact that the wolves may or may not attack the sheep. He would straight away, immediately make plans to protect them. That was his job. He would not leave the flock in a dangerous position. It was the shepherd's duty to watch out for these dangers and to act accordingly. If Christian shepherds of today are not watching out for the dangers and not acting accordingly, then I think we might all agree they're not doing their jobs properly. Part of a Christian shepherd's job is to understand the signs of the times and to keep their Christian flock informed. I believe we are close to the time of a one world government. We see it being prepared. And for the rise of a man called the Antichrist. We can see it happening all around us. The news is almost full of these things now. In Ezekiel chapter 34, and I'll just read the first two verses. You can read the rest for yourself. The rest is interesting. It says this: the word of the Lord came to me, that's Ezekiel, the word of the Lord came to me and said, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Woe to you, shepherds of Israel, who only take care of yourselves. Should not shepherds take care of the flock? Wow, there's some strong words there. And I believe that we should be listening to them. I'll leave you with this question. Can we see anything happening that might suggest that the end times prophecies are being fulfilled? Can we see it as we look at the news and see the climate of the world of today? And even before the Antichrist arrives, can we see the scenery being put into position for the final act, even now in our times, in our day? You know, the church's influence is becoming less and less. The government of this country is changing the natural order of things to suit its own agenda. And the church is becoming more and more powerless to prevent it from happening. The church is losing ground. How much more do we have to see before we recognise what is happening? Can we not see the end time prophecies being fulfilled in our day? Folks, when are the shepherds going to wake up and warn the flock of the dangers that are coming? As a pre-trib rapturist, that means that I believe the rapture will come before the tribulation. I think the rapture must be very, very close at hand. The Bible tells us to be prepared and not to ignore what is happening. Now, why does the Bible give a warning if there's no danger to them being ignored? Think about this, folks. Have a good week. Don't worry about these things, but think about them seriously. God bless you all. Bye for now.